Hey YouTube, how's it going? Felix here. Today in this video I'm going to give you 5 tips which will help prevent your Range Rover or perhaps your other luxury car or valuable car with a keyless entry system, one of these keys which doesn't have a physical key on it, from being stolen by thieves who exploit vulnerabilities in the keyless entry system to gain access to your car. So I'm going to show you 5 tips, and hopefully implementing some of these tips might help you prevent your car from being stolen. So let's go. Okay, here we go. So tip number 1. First thing I recommend doing, and it's by far the easiest and simplest and, to be honest, cheapest tip in this video, is to disable keyless entry for your car. I'm going to show you how to do it for the L405 Range Rover here, but of course if your model of car is different then the procedure might be different. Just look it up. It's really simple to find out how to do it on Google. It may well be not on the Range Rover you do it using the key itself, but on your car you might have to do it using the infotainment screen on the inside. Of course, they're all different. But on the Range Rover, to disable keyless entry, all you have to do is get the key out here. You can see there are 4 buttons on the key. You press the headlight button here, this one, you press that 3 times in a row, and then you press the unlock button. So like this, 1, 2, 3, 1. The car unlocks. And what that will do is it will disable the ability for you to come up to the car and press your finger on the key, on the door here, to sort of unlock the car with your key in the pocket. What this sort of turns the key into is a bit more of an old school key where you have to physically press the buttons on the key to unlock and lock the car. I think that disabling some of the features of the key when it comes to broadcasting RF to the car may well significantly reduce the likelihood of your car being stolen through keyless theft. So that's the first tip, and I recommend doing that on any car you've got, whether it's a BMW or a Land Rover or anything. Yes, it's slightly less convenient and you are losing a tiny bit of functionality of the car and it's a bit less modern, I get it, but when it comes down to it, you know, if you get your car nicked, then you lose 100% of your features. If you turn this feature off, you lose 1% of your features, right? So I think it's worthwhile doing. Okay, on to the next. Okay, so tip number 2 is to get one of these Faraday cage boxes for your keys. So this is a little box. You can buy these on Amazon. They're around sort of £15, $20, something like that. They're pretty cheap in the, compared to the cost of your car. And these little boxes are quite small and they're perfect for storing your keys inside. Let me just show you. Need 2 hands for this, to be honest, but let me just put the car key in. There we go. So your Range Rover key fits beautifully in there. Lots of space, and you've got to keep your key in this box every time your key is inside your house. This box completely blocks any of the RF signals from escaping from your key and getting to your car, or potentially getting to some thieves who are trying to relay your keys. These boxes are absolutely fantastic investment, strongly recommended. What I would personally do as well is I would take this box and I would put it with your keys inside when you go to sleep, put it as close as possible to your head when you go to sleep. So put it on your bedside table, somewhere very close to you, so if someone has to get into your house, has to get to your keys, they have to physically come and wake you up to get the keys off you. I don't leave this box in your kitchen because it's potentially downstairs while you're asleep upstairs, because then someone could come in and nick your keys while you're asleep and you would be none the wiser. If you're really concerned about security, I would personally recommend, and this is what we do, is we have 2 of these boxes, one of which is by the bedside with the keys that we use all the time, and we have a second box which we keep all the spare keys in. So the second keys for all our cars we keep in the second box, and that box is really well hidden, somewhere where really inconvenient, somewhere the thieves would really be unlikely to find it. And so that means that if you ever do get your car nicked, your car is stolen, you've lost one set of keys perhaps, but you've still got your second set, which the thieves didn't manage to find. And then when you come to have to identify your car to the police, you can use your second key, and then you can easily show the police that the car is yours, and you can drive away and drive home without having to get a person out to come make you some new keys, which is very expensive and annoying. So yes, these key boxes, 15 quid, tiny investment, worth it 100% in my opinion. I'll put a link in the description below to some on Amazon, and you can have a look at some there. Okay, on to the next. Okay, on to tip number 3. So these are the Faraday cage pouches. They're very much like the Faraday cage box I just showed you. They perform exactly the same function, and to be honest, you could just buy some of these pouches in exchange of the box and use them just like I explained you could use the box. However, I think the box is a bit more aesthetically pleasing, looks a bit nicer in your house, and maybe look a bit more professional and will last a bit longer. The advantage of these Faraday pouches is that you can carry these in your pocket when you're out and about. So Whereas I use the box when I'm in the house, these pouches I carry in my pocket every time I've got the car key with me. Say for example, when I'm in the supermarket, something like that, I put the key inside the pouch and then the whole pouch in my pocket, closed up like this, so that you know, when I'm walking around the supermarket, in the very, very unlikely event that someone is attempting to do relay attacks from the supermarket, to be honest, I've never heard of that happening, but if they were, then there would be no way they could get the RF signal from my key to their car. And they're very, very cheap. They don't take up much space in your pocket. I've even added this little piece of string here to aid pulling out the key. And I have tested it, by the way. This little bit here, the tiny bit of string coming out the side when it's shut, does not impact its performance. Yeah, it's a great extra bit of deterrent, and I think it's worthwhile doing considering they're so cheap and small. Okay, so we're on to tip section number 4. This section is all about physical barriers and where you park your car. I totally understand that depending on where you live and what sort of property you've got, this may be very, very impractical for some people and just impossible. So say, for example, if you live in central London or central Manchester, it may not be possible for you to park your car off street. You may have to park your car on the street. But hopefully this section tips will give you some ideas and maybe some food for thought about how to better physically protect your car. So we've got off-street parking, so where this car lives overnight is on our driveway, and even better than that, we've got some electric gates here as well. These gates obviously provide a fantastic physical barrier between the road and your car, and they just add another sort of element of difficulty for a potential thief. One thing to bear in mind is that the transponders which are used on these gates, they're just these relatively simple, like 433 megahertz transponders. They're pretty simple and they're pretty cheap to get on eBay. There are sort of various devices which thieves can get hold of which will break these gates open with the transponders. So if you're ever leaving the car for an extended period of time on your driveway, a good idea is just to physically chain your gates shut as well. Just put some chain around them at the bottom. That adds another element of difficulty for any potential thieves. But let's say you, for example, maybe you can't install gates where you live. Potentially a good alternative option would be to install a bollard. One of these big metal pipes which gets concreted into the ground behind your car. That is a fantastic deterrent for any thieves, and that would be a brilliant way to help secure your car. Let's say potentially you have to park your car on street and you don't have any of those options available to you. Well, then things like a steering wheel lock or a steering wheel disc lock would be good alternatives. I see lots and lots of people who park their Range Rovers and other expensive cars in central London and in big cities. They use those types of steering lock all the time. I would note that I've seen quite a few videos of Range Rovers and other expensive cars being recovered by these tracking companies, which I'll get onto in the next tip. But in those videos where they recover Range Rovers and other expensive cars, those disc locks, those wheel locks, almost always get taken off by the thieves. Like, they don't pose any threat, it appears, to thieves. So what I would say is that if you're going to get one of those locks, make sure you get a really, really good one, which has a very expensive high-end lock barrel in it, because it appears that they put very cheap locks in them, which can be easily defeated by thieves, because they know exactly how to do it. So make sure you get a really good one if you're going to take that route, because otherwise I think they're pretty much worthless and just a sort of visual deterrent. But anyway, yeah, there are loads of other options you want. Of course, some of them are more annoying and difficult to use than others. Things like a wheel clamp, or one of those little sort of jaw clamps that snaps onto the edge of the alloy. But yeah, just bear in mind that anything that's annoying and difficult for you to use is going to be equally annoying and difficult for a thief to get off. So yeah, the more you invest, the more you get back, right? Okay, on to the next. Okay, so the fifth and final set of tips I've got for you is disaster recovery. So imagine that all the steps we've gone through, everything we've discussed in this video has failed. Hopefully it doesn't, but of course it could. In the event that it's failed, how are you going to get your car back? And it really comes down to two things, in my opinion. It comes down to tracking and identification, right? So there are lots of companies out there who will install very high-end tracking systems into your car with GPS and RF and other sort of advanced tracking technologies. Strongly recommended, depending on the value of your car, to get one of those systems installed. There's a brilliant company, not sponsored by them in any way, shape or form, but there's a brilliant company on YouTube called Automatrix M-Track. They do really, really fun videos, to be honest, which are just good to watch regardless if you have a car like this or not. And they have a great YouTube channel where they sort of go over some of the Range Rovers and other high-end cars that they recover for their clients. One of their systems will be absolutely brilliant. It's installed in the car completely anonymously. It's very, very hard to find. They're very, very good at hiding the trackers so thieves can't easily find them. And there you get sort of 24/7 tracking of your car, and they will help you recover it for you if it ever gets stolen. So that's a brilliant way, and a very, very high success rate of getting your car back using those systems. I'm sure there are lots of other ones out there as well, but they're just the ones I would recommend. And then secondarily is identifying the people who stole your car in the first place. So this comes down to installing things like a camera system. So for example, we've got some cameras here which are looking at our driveway. We've also got cameras in the house and around the house, such that if someone did ever get into your house and got hold of your keys, not only would you have a good shot at identifying them from the cameras outside, but you'd also have a really good shot at identifying them from the cameras inside. You'd hopefully get a good mug shot, or as close to a good mug shot as you could get, because people would probably disguise their identity, of course they would. But hopefully you'll give some decent enough information to the police to help get your car back. So let's wrap up. So I hope that was interesting and potentially useful for you. If you've got any other good tips, please share them in the comments below. I'm by no means an expert on any of this stuff. It's just my personal experience. So yeah, hopefully this helps and helps save one of our lovely Range Rovers or other cool cars from being nicked and being chopped up for parts, which I don't want to happen. So yeah, if you're interested in more car videos like this, you can hit the subscribe button. I'm always producing new stuff and just sort of random car content, things that I find interesting, to be honest. But hopefully you find it interesting too. Anyway, have a good day. Catch you soon. Cheers.